You ever have one of those days where you wake up and think, no way today's going to get weird? Well, buckle up because the day the HOA called the cops on me for refusing to hand over my garage key was the day I found out just how deep the rabbit hole goes in suburbia. And get this, they told the police I was hiding hazardous materials. Yeah, that happened. Funny thing is, my only real crime was catching their late-night break-in on camera and having the guts to press play for the whole neighborhood. But let me back up a sec. My name's Ben Carter, Finnish carpenter by trade, so I'm picky about corners, about lines, about doing things the right way. I like quiet, always have. After years of saving, I finally bought into this neighborhood called Meadow Ridge Estates. The name promised peace, order, and a good chunk of American suburbia where every house looks like it rolled off the same assembly line in a slightly different shade. Mine was gray Blanchard, but it came with a two-car garage. And every man knows a garage isn't just storage, it's your sanctuary, your own patch of freedom. Inside that garage, I had two things I cared about. The first, 1968 Triumph Bonneville Candy Apple Blue. My grandpa's bike. Kept it running all these years, polished the chrome so you could see your future in it. The second, well, that was new, a massive safe 4 feet tall and heavy as a nightmare. Bought it at a storage auction just for the mystery of it, a little gamble to break up the monotony. Took 4 of us to get that safe off the truck muscle and pallet, Jack hoping not to crack the slab. Left it there in the corner, unopened, a secret, waiting on my terms. For about a week, everything was perfect. Then, right on cue, the HOA slid a letter under my door, mandatory meeting at the clubhouse. Now I'd met our HOA president, once Karen Moore. The type who smiles with her teeth but not her eyes, the kind who always seems to know what's best for you whether you asked or not. Meeting room smelled like burnt coffee and defeat. Karen filibustered about curb appeal until I wondered if I could crawl out through the exit sign. Then she dropped her bomb, a safety initiative. Every homeowner was now required to hand over a key to their garage for emergency access. You could feel the room tense up. Nobody wanted to say no to Karen, but I'm a carpenter. I build doors. I put locks on them for a reason. So I raised my hand. Yeah, I'm not doing that. The air got so quiet you could hear people sweating. Karen's smile shrank a notch, but she kept up the performance. It's for the fire department, Mr. Carter, emergencies. I just told her. The fire department's got axes. They'll get in plenty fast. Got a few laughs with that. Her boyfriend, Brandon, the sort of guy who always looks like he's about to sell you a used Rolex, tried to back her up. It's for your protection, he puffed. No thanks, I said. I'll protect myself. That's when Karen made it personal. Refusal to comply will result in fines, and if we believe there's a violation, we will call 911. Threat delivered right in front of 50 neighbors. But here's the thing. Bullies thrive on fear. I left that meeting knowing it was never about safety. She wanted control. She wanted every inch of this neighborhood, right down to the dust on my workbench. Next morning, Saturday, I found a $50 fine taped to my garage. Below it, a handwritten, "This is your only warning." Cute. I crumpled it and went about my day, tuned up Grandpa's Triumph garage door wide open, sun spilling in, Karen glaring at me from her porch phone glued to her ear. Let her call. I had nothing to hide. 20 minutes later, a cop car rolled up. Sergeant Deke's big guy wore the look of a man who's seen every flavor of nonsense. Karen stormed over with Brandon in tow, making a scene. He's violating community safety. He's hiding hazardous materials, she cried. Deeks sized up the situation. Me, my toolbox, the Triumph purring in the sunlight. Ma'am, what hazardous materials, he asked. Karen floundered. We don't know, that's why we need access. Deeks looked at me. I showed him the deed, the title to the bike, everything in order. He turned back to Karen. Ma'am, this is a civil matter, not a police one. He can open his own garage. You call us again for something like this, I'll have to warn you about abusing 911. Karen's face. Will you ever see a poodle realize the pit bull isn't bluffing? Brandon tried to bluster, but Deeks shut him down with a look. I thought that would be the end of it, but Karen wasn't the type to take a public loss. Minutes after the cops left, an HOA compliance cart whined up to my curb. Todd clipboard at the ready, Brandon hanging back. Random safety inspection, garage access required. Sure, I said, you got a warrant. We don't need one. Not a court. This isn't common property. That's my door. Brandon tried some tough talk. I just pointed to my no trespassing sign and to Paul Kim across the street sipping coffee the size of a soup pot, grinning like artillery support. I started up the Triumph, let it idle nice and loud. Supervised, I told Todd, now go get coffee and a warrant. Paul coughed a laugh. Todd retreated, defeated, Karen hissing instructions from the porch. First round to me. But that night I learned just how far Karen was willing to go. Around 2 a.m., I was woken up by a grinding metallic sound from the garage. Checked the security feed, 2 men inside Brandon, and a big guy I didn't know drilling at my safe. My anger spiked, but my grandpa's advice kicked in. Never start a fight, Benny, but always be ready to finish it. Instead of storming out, I set my own trap. I'd rigged the sprinklers by the garage with blue chalk dust just for fun. Hit record on my phone, triggered the porch surprise. Suddenly, the two crooks were stumbling out, coughing and drenched in blue, looking like they lost a wrestling match with a paint factory. Neighbors' lights flicked on. Paul Kim watched from his porch, and Brandon skidded right onto his backside. They fled, trailing blue dust, clear as day on camera. Next morning, I called Sergeant Deeks, showed him the footage, the evidence, everything. Chalk dust, he smirked. Harmless, I said, but effective. We got a judge's warrant to open the safe, and what we found inside blew everything open, stacks of cash. Fake IDs, a ledger, showing Brandon and Karen embezzling HOA money through fake contracts, drainage projects, pool repairs, all pocketed. Every missing dollar traced, every lie exposed. Deeks told me this is criminal fraud conspiracy. Don't engage with them. If anything else happens, you call me direct. Didn't take long for Karen to get desperate. Next morning, a tow truck and forklift rolled up, work order in hand, signed by Karen, trying to take the safe as unapproved structure. But this is where the twist comes in. I called Paul Kim, my secret weapon. He rolled over his giant backhoe, parked it across my garage like a steel barricade. The movers took one look at Paul, and his machine listened to Karen screaming on speaker and bailed. Paul asked guard dog mode or moat. I said moat, absolutely. We'd drawn our line in the asphalt. After that public defeat, the neighborhood buzzed. People started noticing things, the storm drain that was never fixed, the audits that never happened. And then the real storm hit. Thunder rolled, rain turned the street into a river, and a little boy, Leo Jensen, got swept toward the broken drain with his dog Buddy trying to pull him back. I didn't even think, ran out into the flood, waded chest deep, scooped up the kid, and his dog carried them out. As I handed Leo back to his mom, I saw Lisa Truman, a quiet, nervous board member, standing there with a folder, watching the scene. That was the moment her fear turned to resolve. Lisa came over, soaked to the skin, clutching her folder of board minutes and invoices. She'd had enough. We pieced it all together. Every invoice, every payment, every lie. The missing served $15,000 for drainage pocketed by Brandon's fake company, the same money that nearly cost a kid his life. With the help of Lisa and Paul, we went door to door, not just asking for signatures to recall Karen, showing neighbors the evidence, the videos, the ledger, the rescue. At first, folks were scared Karen ruled by fear, but the proof was too strong, the blue chalk video too ridiculous to deny. The moms took over. Jensen's mom got 10 signatures in an hour. By the deadline, we had a majority and then some. HOA meeting night. The community center was packed, folks standing in the back, cops keeping the peace. Karen tried to brush it off, calling me up for my 3 minutes. I had a projector ready, a story in 5 parts. The 911 call, Karen screaming lies. The body cam footage, Sergeant Deeks shutting her down. The break-in video, Brandon and his buddy getting hosed in blue. The ledger, every stolen dollar matched to a real job that never happened. And finally the photo of me pulling Leo from the flood. The room erupted first with anger, then laughter, then applause. I finished with the only line that mattered. "You want my garage key, Karen? Let's trade mine for your front door key. Fair's fair, right?" The room exploded. The vote wasn't close. Karen and Brandon were recalled on the spot, then arrested right there for embezzlement, fraud, and attempted burglary. After all the noise, the aftermath was quiet healing almost. Lisa took over. Killed the key initiative, published every financial record online, called for a full audit. Paul and I, along with a crew of neighbors, fixed the storm drain ourselves using the last of the HOA money. Kids drew arrows in chalk showing where the water should flow, and someone doodled a little blue cartoon of Brandon sliding on his butt. I sold the empty safe for scrap, put the money toward new mulch for the playground. It felt right. And with the dust finally settled, I turned back to what really matters. Garage door wide, sun shining in, I brought Grandpa's Triumph back to life piece by piece. When it finally fired up, I let it idle, thinking of him, thinking how a man's castle isn't about walls or keys, but about the people you share it with. Sometimes, yeah, you need a backhoe in your village, but mostly you just need the guts to stand up. So here's my question. What would you have done? Where's the line between protecting your freedom and keeping the peace? Share your story, because I guarantee somewhere out there there's another Karen waiting for a fight. And if you've ever faced down an HOA or a bully with more rules than sense, let's hear it. Because the only way things change is when folks stop being scared, stand up together and call it what it is: justice.